everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, narrated by Disney, or can Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it. Legends. Today, we have a bittersweet sort of thing here today, because publication-wise, I don't know if it was the last thing we received, but it was the last publication-wise novel that we received in the expanded universe. Most disappointing, now we'll get to it when we get to it, but it's a Rebellion era story. Obviously, because we're in the Rebellion era right now. And yet, the longer you become a fan of the EU, the more the EU you read, there's a little bit of a divide. My friend Quality Autism and many people on his server with post-NGO content. But for those who like stuff after New Jedi Order, the last book we had chronologically was Crucible. And then there's like a 40-year gap where there's just nothing. And then we get the Legacy comics with Cade Skywalker. And there's so much you could have done with that. And yet the last book we get is Rebellion Era Story. That being said, it was a pretty good one. However, before we get to that, I have a couple other things to mention. In Adventure Journal number 6, Finder's Fee by Peter Schweifer, these rebels need to escape a planet, and the Imperials are onto them. These are just random rebels, and they talk to this dude who knows how to get people out of bad situations for the right price, for the finder's fee of course. It's a decent little thing. It's only like 11 pages, so there's not much to it. But think like the vacuum cleaner guy from Breaking Bad, who can like give you a new name, new identity, except that this guy's just like can get you out of there scot-free for the right price. That's basically the story. In Adventure Journal number 14, The Breath of Gelgagar. This was a weird short story. So there's somebody, Mon Calamari, who's either a Jedi or just is force sensitive and trying to learn the ways of a Jedi. And they feel the animals. They can be in tune with the animals, and the animals in peril. The Jedi feels like they're in peril. It's okay. It's a bit on the weirder side. If anything, I guess it would be analogous to early Jason Solo, where in the Young Jedi Knights books he was really in tune with nature and like animals and stuff. So I guess it'd be something like that. They call this being a Jedi, which I have an issue with. If it was just somebody who figured out they were force sensitive and were trying to learn some basic moves or something, I could accept that. Maybe it's somebody going to join Luke's academy in the future. But as this, they're like a Jedi practicing. I don't know. This character, as far as I'm aware, never returns in the expanded universe. It's just this one-off story. And it's a bit weird, but chronologically, it'd be about here. Then we move on to, this was in a Star Wars Insider, but if you buy the novel, Honor Among Thieves, you can find this in the back of the book, which is a short story called Silver and Scarlet. Although, if you have the Insider, it was Inside Insider 148. But this is a prequel little short story. It's only like 20 pages to the Honor Among Thieves novel, which is what I alluded to at the beginning. This one just shows a character that's going to appear in the novel, Scarlet Hark, and she's actually a really fun and interesting character, and I would have loved to see more about her. But it's a pretty fun little short story, and the Imperial in it, I was actually like, he's dealing like with remorse over what he's done, but wanting to be honorable. I guess I just love Imperials because the same thing with Tank, um, and Gilead Pelion. People that are sincerely believing in the cause of the empire. Maybe not everything with the emperor and everything that he does, but they believe in the judicial system of the empire and prefer it over the republic, and are righteous in that they're morally, you know, high tier people. They just work in a structure that is not the best right now because of Palpatine. An argument can be made that they are actually superior, um, in the New Jedi Order times and onward, but that's debatable. I mean, the New Republic is certainly far stronger, military wise, by the time of the New Jedi Order, but we'll get there when we get there rediscussing everything. Because I'm going to have to go in deep detail about Jason Solo as to piss off Noah as we move forward, but that's a long time coming. So, moving on to the Honor Among Thieves novel by James S.A. Corey, which I believe is actually two authors, but they use this as a synonym for some reason. But I don't know. As I said before, this chronologically, of course, is not the last novel. We have many more novels to go through, but publication wise, this came out in 2013, pretty much right before the buyout, or right before it finalized. Like, people in 2013 pretty much knew the EU was coming to an end, but in 2014 it was finalized. So this was the last publication wise EU novel we received. And again, it's disappointing because there's so many loose threads that could have been tied up instead of having another Rebellion era story, as if it wasn't crammed already. That being said, this novel was so much fun. This is one of the most fun Han Solo novels we've gotten. I mean, Leia's there, Luke's there, but Han's the central focus. And the writing from it's a lot of fun. Basically, there is a rebel agent, secret agent, I guess, in a sense, that needs assistance. And their resources kind of spread thin. Leia sends Han to, because he's a smuggler, that's what he's best at, to go find her and get out. Obviously, it becomes a much bigger scenario than that. They end up having to do a bunch of other things. Um, but it was a really good book. Han is written so well in here. Han is written better in here than Timothy Zahn knew how to write him in his duology of Allegiance and Choices of One. Han feels like Han, and it's a lot of fun. And Scarlet Hark is a lot of fun too. I wish we could have gotten more with her because she's an actually really interesting character, and would have loved to see more of her. And her dynamic with Han was also a lot of fun. I don't really have any spoilers for today, but it was a good read, and I do think it's worth your time. Does it reference anything in the EU? Not really. Um, there's not really any connections. They do get in a little bit more, not a lot, but it does get a little bit more into the politics side of the rebellion. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, but I also never really thought about it that Alderaan's blown up. So Leia as a princess is only really an honorary title. She has no royal status. Her planet is gone. Um, and she doesn't really have any money because her planet and the economy that came with it blew up. So where does the Alliance get their money to fund the rebellion? Well, from many worlds that are dissatisfied with the Empire but don't have the means themselves to take them down. So what do? They fund the Alliance. So Leia has to, talk to people, talk to different planets, let them know that we will save you if you simply help us to achieve that goal. And it makes a lot of sense. So I thought that was really cool. Um, Other than that, it's just like a fun adventure all the way through. I mean, I could give you beat by beat what happens, but they're on an adventure. They eventually find this thing. They gotta stop this thing. There's a dilemma. Leia's like, we need to take it. And Han's like, look, I trust you completely and utterly. However, if you win, we have your new republic. You won't always be in office. Somebody else will, that I don't know, that I don't trust. Are you gonna trust them with this weapon or whatever? So they blow it up. But other than that, there's a bunch of adventure stuff in between, and like some old friend of Han's that's never mentioned before in the EU that shows up causing issues. Like, that's the gist of the plot without just, reading the book to you. So that is pretty much the gist of what I have to say. I have a slight spoiler, not really, but Han makes some comments about Luke in this book that I just thought were really sweet. Because again, this book understands Han Solo better than Allegiance or Choices of One did, where they made him seem like a jerk and not really a fan of Luke for some reason. But yeah, moving forward, we have, I think, a couple more short stories, and then we have episode 4.5, the If Star Wars Had Failed, the sequel to Star Wars, which would have been Splinter of the Mind's Eye by Alan Dean Foster. So I hope you'll join me for that. Until next time, may the Force be with you.